Lindsey, what is in your lens today?
Let's talk about this holiday lens. So walk into any coffee shop right now and you'll hear it. The whispered, half-joking panic of people clutching their first holiday lattes. Isn't it too early for this? Maybe, but the real sound underneath that question is a kind of financial dread, because this year, the holidays aren't just twinkly lights and matching pajamas. They're a mirror. And what they're reflecting back is a widening gap between those who can still afford to go big for Christmas and those quietly scaling everything down. Bank of America calls it a, quote, tale of two wallets. And that feels about right. Higher earners are planning to spend more. Lower income families are shopping earlier than ever. Well, because when your budget is tight, timing becomes a strategy. On social media, influencers are preaching de-influencing. Skip the new jammies, reuse decorations, hunt for secondhand gifts. It's not stingy, they're saying it's survival. And while we all love the tradition of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, it runs headfirst into the reality of this economy. Construction's costs for a float averaged $30,000 to $100,000 just 2 years ago for one of those things. Macy's pays about $140,000 a year in property taxes just to store those giant balloons. Inflating them, that can cost at a minimum $500,000 with more than 5,000 volunteers, 17 giant character balloons, 22 floats, and hundreds of performers. You get the point. It's a whole different financial universe than most Americans are living in. Meanwhile, shoppers on Main Street are being told that by the National Retail Federation that holiday spending is expected to slow this year. Tariffs, grocery prices, interest rates, everything is squeezing budgets. And it's changing how people talk about Christmas and, frankly, how they talk about politics. Days before President Donald Trump was sworn in for his second term, he promised to bring down the prices Americans were feeling at the gas pump and grocery store. But now he's defining a kind of freestyle capitalism. Tariffs here, deregulation there, government ownership stakes in private companies, without, according to experts, a clear logic. Take economist Marina Mazzucato, saying Trump's policies are, quote, more like an idiosyncratic hodgepodge, adding, quote, Trump is not asking what the problems that need to be solved are and how we can have public investment to solve those problems. He's just kind of throwing money around and imposing tariffs and taking these equity stakes in dismantling things. And voters have noticed. Exit polls from the 2024 election showed that Trump's message on prices resonated deeply with people making under $100,000 and with voters that don't have college degrees. But in the November off-year elections, those same working class voters turned around and elected Democrats in every single race where they were running, from moderates like Abigail Spanberger to Democratic Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Their message? Affordability. Because something real is shifting. Wage growth for low-income Americans is at its lowest in decades. The top 10% of households now accounts for nearly half of all consumer spending. Nearly 93% of all U.S. stock is owned by the wealthiest 20%. And first-time homebuyers, as we talked about earlier, hit an extremely high age and not a good milestone. That's a warning sign. So yes, the holidays are always emotional. But this year, they're also a forecast of how many people feel, or how people feel about their future and their finances. And maybe, just maybe, what kind of mood they'll be in next time they step into a voting booth. I don't think you can separate the feeling that people have about spending, finance, income, this Christmas being 11 months into President Trump's term, and how they're going to feel when they are voting. And I understand the elections earlier this month were not like a major midterm election or a major year where a president's on the ballot, but I think it shows you frustration because maybe President Trump overpromised and underdelivered.
Well, I like some of what Trump is doing. I mean, this is what I always say. I like some of it and I don't like other aspects of it. You called it freestyle capitalism. The capitalist aspects of the Trump agenda I agree with. Not all of it is capitalism. Tariffs are not capitalism. Tariffs are the opposite of capitalism. The government taking an ownership stake in certain companies is as far from the opposite of capitalism as you can possibly get. Actually, that's socialism. When the government owns, runs, and centrally plans and manages aspects of the economies, including controlling certain firms, that's just socialism. Capitalism is, no, government's hands off, let the firms compete, the best one wins, let trade flourish, let us trade with firms in other countries, That's capitalism. So it's not freestyle capitalism to me. It's the opposite. It's managed trade. It's state capitalism. And state capitalism, another word for that is corporatism, and another word for that is socialism.
Well, the word that we use in comparing President Trump to Mamdani is a great segue, because I see that you're comparing the two.
Their economic programs are a little
think that they're similar
for my taste.
That's kind of interesting, but I think when we're talking about the fact of the matter is that perhaps the president it's either one or two things. Either he was campaigning on something that he didn't plan to do because the prices are not down, or his policies are so erratic and break away from the traditional norms of the Republican Party that everybody is wholly confused. And it's not a situation where the whole country is suffering together because we're in some state that we can't get out of. It's a situation where rich people are getting really wealthy and more rich, and then poor people are getting more poor and more uncomfortable. And so when I say things to you about, and I know you're about to blow your top over this one, but he's building a $300 million ballroom, and poor people are getting poorer, and we're watching that happen. You cannot be frustrated when I say that he's out of touch as a president, because he's up in that 1%. But he also of people that he's probably made richer within the last year with his policies.
Good.
That are not.
I hope rich people continue to get richer.
But people in America are suffering. And so what are you doing for the everyday American that voted for you? You can't win with only the rich people voting for you in any election.
The Democratic solution
what's the plan for the Republican Party?
is just liquidate the billionaire, destroy the billionaires, take from the rich. It's never, let's improve the lives of
the $100 million.
Like Elizabeth Warren tweeted something like, you don't hate billionaires enough, or billionaires are afraid of this. This is the Democratic solution. They just want to steal from successful, productive people. They want to take their money. It's not about how can we uplift the poor, it's how can we hurt the rich. Because shrinking the inequality is what matters to the left, not actually improving the material standard of young people.
If the average American
I don't want to shrink the inequality, I want to lift everybody up.
Yes, but if we shrink the inequality, then we can also give people the opportunity to not feel like they're the worst part of society.
They shrink the inequality like this.
Yes.
Now there's very little inequality.
No, everybody's not going to be at the bottom.
And the rich people are a lot worse off.
Not going to be
at the bottom. And the poor people are worse off too. No, I want to do this.
Democrats
I want to do this.
Right. So if a lot of Democrats are fighting for. You don't have to demonstrate this anymore. We got it. You guys want to zoom in? He's showing us again. I think that what they're. Go ahead. Do your little.
Well, that's on your screen. Oh, wait. It's hard to do it. Wait.
Okay. So the point is,
we can do little hand gestures.
If we make sure that we are making opportunities for people that are, let's say, entry-level candidates or people that are low-income earners to earn a fair share, which is what a lot of Democrats are often fighting for higher wages and things like that, then that would mean that maybe the billionaire, 100 billionaire is like a 90 billionaire, but everyone down here is able to make a little bit more to afford groceries and everyday items. And so our society is not in a state of struggle. That means that the top 1% won't only be gaining all this money with they're not trickling down, because a lot of people say and have looked at the trickle-down theory as a failure.
No society that tries to make the poor people better off by mass confiscation or management of the wealthy people's riches succeeds.
It's not confiscation. It's asking people not to take advantage of the lowest paid workers.
You love asking people not to.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully people will do the right thing. I live my life with a moral compass, so I'm hoping that people that are 100 millionaires could find an opportunity to take away maybe 10 of those million and try to give it's
not a zero-sum game. It's not people a pie that has a finite amount. We can create more value and more jobs and more opportunities by having the government be more hands-off. And that's what will improve the material living conditions of the poor or of the lower class when there's better job opportunities, better economic opportunities, when the prices of things go down. The price of things usually go down because capitalism is working, because people are competing to offer you a better fridge or a cheaper fridge or a fridge that does more and it improves your life. The fridge costs less than it used to. Cars cost less than they used to. TVs cost less than they used to. All those sorts of things. They go down in price, not because the government takes money from some wealthy person and subsidizes making that more expensive.
They also go down in price
because the market competition drives the price
down. They also go down in price because of how cheaply they're being made, because companies are so greedy that they'll go to other countries and abuse laborers to make them for extremely cheap prices, then bring them over here. Yes, there's been plenty of, we can talk fast fashion, we can talk about appliances, yes. We go overseas and charge,
those people are literally dying to get those jobs. They want those jobs because there's so much poverty, they'd rather do them.
No.
Well, then it's the choices, the alternative is starve. Starbucks is apologizing after its new cup got customers worked up into a frenzy. A Starbucks cup? I didn't see this. We'll be right back after this.